This PowerPoint supports organisational structure as the final intro lesson to understanding the nature of organisations. We're understanding how structures are used to develop the effectiveness of an organisation, and hopefully applying organisational structures to distinct examples. So the first thing, whoops, let's go back there. The first thing we were looking at was these three terms: delegation, and this is the passing of authority from one layer of the hierarchy down to another. Span of control was the number of people directly under the control of a manager. And the chain of command was the way in which a message would be conveyed through the organisation. So the pathway that it would take. Now, further to this, oops, too far. We were thinking about looking at an organisational chart for Onslow College. Now, the problem with Onslow College is a very dynamic organisation with lots of people doubling up on their jobs. However, what we would see, similar to this, however, at the top we would have the board of directors, the trustees, board of trustees, and then underneath that we would therefore have the principal. Underneath the principal would therefore be the deputy and assistant principals, and then underneath them would be the pastoral staff, the deans, and also the curriculum staff. What makes it so tricky, as mentioned before, is that we have people doubling up in our jobs, so therefore there's a lot of crossover, and sometimes it's not particularly clear as to whose boss is who. This, in theory, should detract from the efficiency of the organisation, from the school. Now, school is in a luxurious position in terms of it does not rely on profit levels and beating the competition. So therefore, maybe their efficiency and their approach to productivity can be a little bit more laid back in this. So for that reason, that's why this organisational structure works. Now, common structure types we have. Tool is represented by many, many layers of hierarchy and very small spans of control. However, the chain of command tends to be very long. Flat works the other way around. There's less layers of hierarchy, but at each hierarchical level, there is a much higher number of workers. So therefore, what we find that is that the span of control is much higher. And sometimes it can be too high. Added to that, communication pathways should be shorter and they should be quicker because there's less of a hierarchy to go through. The final one we looked at was matrix. Now this is where teams are formed within the organisation, and within each team there are specialists in the key areas, the key departments of an organisation. So it might be marketing, sales, finance, HR, etc., etc. The advantage to the matrix system is it does promote competition, okay, and better performance. The disadvantage, however, it could be that these teams do perform in isolation, and cliques can develop, which can be detrimental to productivity. Now, added to this, we saw two further types. Now, when we're looking at centralisation or decentralisation, the whole idea is that the structure is very much concerned with an organisation that has outlying branches. Okay, so for example, you may have a supermarket that has a head office, and added to that, it may have branches outside. So centralised means that all the major responsibilities and all the decision making is done by the head office, and then it's communicated out to the branches. So there's a lot of emphasis on communication, and this, in a way, promotes a lot of control over the branches, which could be demotivational for those branches. On the flip side, however, decentralisation gives a lot more power and authority to the branches to make their own decisions and make their own policies. This obviously allows branches to flourish amongst themselves, to be self-governing. The downside of it can be that one of the branches may go off and do things which not necessarily the other branches agree with, and therefore may have a damaged reputation. And overall, it might question the consistency, which could be a problem. Okay, finally, the last things that we were looking at was this question. Okay, so looking at this question, I'm not going to read through the question, but the question which is up on Moodle We're going to have a go at this question. The first question is very much the A, is very much addressing achieve level, B is the merit level, C is the excellence level. So if you can remember, this one's up on Moodle, and the due date for this is